Hey there, randos. Random Dave here. Random Dave here. Anyway, we got a little different kind of video going on right now. Upgrade to a 10-year-old computer. This is my desktop. I bought it 2013, CyberPower PC. It's got a couple of CD-ROMs / DVD ROMs in it, and it's got room for other drives in there that I may never need, but I do use the ROM drives. It's CDRWs, like basically DVD writer as well. So back in the day, that was, a cool thing to have. So anyway, what I'm going to do here is I went onto eBay and I purchased a couple of items to upgrade. So actually, let's pop this thing open and take a look. Pardon the dust. Pardon my dust, work in progress. So let's see how we're looking. We have in here an i7 4770K, which I just used the stock overclock to run it at 4.0 gigahertz instead of 3.5. I got 4 sticks of memory and matched them up. That's 16 gigs at, what is it at, 13 something? Gosh, the memory is dated of 2011, for crying out loud. But let's see here. Crucial Ballistics Sport. 1333 megahertz. So they all should be at 1333 megahertz, I believe. Last I checked my specs, they were all running at that speed. GTX 760, 2013 vintage. And what else? 600 watt ATX power supply that isn't rated for any kind of bronze or gold or any of that sort of thing. I got a Samsung SSD tucked in here, and some hard disk drives. I even got an old backup one that I have with 8.1, Windows 8.1, and then Windows 10 and Windows 10 on the SSD. Yeah, so anyway, what I'm going to do is, or what I have done, is I went onto eBay and I purchased a 4790K, which I think is the fastest chip that this 1150 board could run. It's a MSI Z87 G41 PC Mate board. Z87 G41 PC Mate by MSI. And one thing you have to do, I'll put this in the video, I think, is you have to go to MSI drivers and update the BIOS to version 1.7. So you're going to download 1.7, extract it onto a thumb drive, a little USB drive, into the root folder of that. Make sure it's all extracted and opened up out of any folder so that all the 3 individual files are there. There's an exe file. Then when you boot up, you can go straight into delete. In this case, I hit delete and it goes into the BIOS controls and the MSI controls, and you can flash your drive, flash your BIOS from there, from the thumb drive. Anyway, yeah, make sure you flash your BIOS, and then you can do your install, swap out from the 4770K, in my case, to a 4790K. The 4790 base clock speed is 4 gigahertz, and it should clock up a 10% with like the standard overclock to 4.4 is where it should be at. I know that my 4770K was built in Costa Rica, or put together there, and this one is from Malaysia, the 4790. It should be good. So anyway, without further ado, I'm going to unplug the stock cooling fan, which I will keep. This system never really had any issues. This system never really had any issues with overheating, in my experience. It may run a little warm. This 4770K runs at 84 watts, and the 4790 runs at 88. Yeah, something like that. So from 84 to 88 watts. So it does use a little bit more juice, but yeah, we'll pop that off. The paste is pretty good because it wasn't that long ago that I put some fresh paste on here, just because it had been a while. And you know, they say they're good for several years. I think the paste I have now says it's good for 8 years. But anyway, kind of wipe that off and remove my good old 4770, which I've been very happy with this chip. It's been working great. You know, I'm not a big time gamer, so I don't really push it, but it's always seemed to get the job done. It's always seemed to get the job done for me. So I'm just wiping off most of that thermal paste on there. Be super careful you don't get it underneath. These don't have pins, they have gold pads in this like LGA 1150 format. So anyway, I will swap them out. So there's a little gold arrow that matches with a spot on the bottom left corner from my orientation, or there's 2 notches up top, and those go in the notches of the tray here. Flip the lid down, and then you want it to lock underneath this little star screw. Make sure that's in there, and then put the lever underneath the hook. So hopefully that is somewhat visible. Yeah. The lever comes up, the whole lid comes up, let it come down. Make sure it goes underneath that little tab when you bring the lever forward, and then push the hook underneath, and it should be secured. Oh, by the way, on eBay, I won the bid for the 4790 at $75.93 out the door. That was with like $10 and change in shipping. And then the next thing I got was this. This is my new video card, GTX 1060, which is a substantial upgrade, 6 gigabyte. And for that one, I paid, winning the bid out the door, $82.24. That was with like $13 in shipping. Had very good interactions with the people on eBay. Everybody was great that I dealt with through this bidding process, and everything arrived promptly. So anyhow, let's get this out of here and disconnect our power. So this is 2x6 pins. I feel like this 760, compared to maybe this GTX, the 760 used a lot more juice. Push down the little tab, and then you can pull up your card. There she is, GeForce GTX 760. A little dusty in there, but also old faithful. I even I even used to mine Dogecoin with this card. Back when it was new, back when Dogecoin was new and the card was new. Maybe one day I'll tell you my Dogecoin story, but needless to say, I didn't get rich off of it. Well, I'll tell you now. I mined and collected 64,000 Dogecoin. And when it hit 2 cents, I sold it. Because to hit even 1 cent for us old-time Dogecoiners was just a pipe dream. We would never have imagined that. We always just said 1 Doge is worth 1 Doge, and never worried about the price. We would give it away freely. I mean, I supported a lot of those early Dogecoin efforts, like the NASCAR. Yeah, donated some Dogecoin to get in that NASCAR livery, so that you may have seen on TV from years ago. Wise, not Eric Wise, somebody, Rich Wise, something like that, was the driver. Can't remember now. I bought Dogecoin shirt with Dogecoin, variety of things. So anyway, I was an early adopter and got out way too soon. It'd have been nice to sell at 75 cents, boy. That would have been actually some decent money. But what can you do? So anyway, I got my card popped in there, make sure the little tab is lifted up, got it screwed in. And yeah, now we're gonna connect our power. So you can see it's only one 6 pin power. So I'm guessing it's maybe a little more efficient. But she's in there, got that in there. Now I need to grab my paste, which I know I put somewhere. I think this chip's going to go to my pop back east, so he can put it to good use. I think that's why I'm pretty good with computers, is my pop. He was an early adopter to personal computers and really encouraged us. So I've been building my own rigs for a while. I didn't actually build this rig. I did at the time. It was not really worth it to me. And you know, the whole idea behind buying these upgrades, I mean, it's less than $160 for the 2 pieces, and it'll be a substantial upgrade for me. Is I don't really know what I want right now, and this thing ain't broke. And you know, I can probably get a good 10% or more improvement in how this thing runs with you know, the top chip from this era, and then you know, this 6 gigabyte Zotac 1060. I think I'll be able to buy myself another year or two while I decide what kind of chip I want. I mean, what kind of computer I want, which will certainly be a desktop. I'm not a laptop fan in general, although I seem to be collecting them. So around about a pea size or so in the center. And then what I've noticed is, you know, these things spread out circular, and a chip is not as, you know, a CPU is not circle, so I don't know if it matters, but I'm going to just dab a little bit of thermal paste on the corners, nothing too much, just to get some little bit of coverage there. And this is MX4 2019 edition thermal compound. That should be good for a little bit. Take my old card and box it up and probably hold on to it as my backup. Intel cooling fan is going to go in. And with this, just make sure the pins are pulled up. Make sure the pins are pulled up, because these kind of clear plastic whitish tabs are going to pop into the squares on the motherboard. Don't worry, I have it in this orientation so the plug reaches easily. And you want to make sure the pins are up, and you push down on the rim, and you get all these little tabs to sit in there. Sorry, I know you can't see too well. and then push down and twist the black little knobs there. Hopefully you could make that out. Push the whole unit down. You should have 4 click ins, and then you can push down on each one of these. That sets it, and then this locks it. If you rotate, you know, clockwise in this case, that locks it in so it won't come up, and you know, it should be very firm on there. And then this is going into CPU fan 1 plug. Make sure you get it lined up right. Don't force it ever, and it should go on nice and easy. And let's see what's left. I think yeah, as I mentioned, make sure you flash your BIOS first if you're going from this 4770 type or previous model. You can look at your BIOS version if it's 1.1 or something, which mine was. It won't accept this Devil's Canyon chip. So I had to do the flash the BIOS to the latest, which is 1.7. Then you can turn everything off and disassemble it and get it reconnected, and then boot her up. So I guess without further ado, I will do that. So we're gonna switch over to this computer. Sit tight. And hello again, randos. Here we have it. After, of course, I mentioned, and I'll mention again, you have to install and flash the BIOS in this particular case so that it will operate with this Devil's Canyon brand or series of CPU, the i7-4790K, and you can see it's up here running at 4 gigahertz. This isn't showing the overclock. It never did for some reason, but 16 gigs of RAM, and yeah, 64-bit operating system, etc., etc. Let's look at CPU ID. Let's take a look at CPU ID, hardware monitor, and we'll head on up. Yeah, I don't really pay too much attention to the voltages going through here, but CPU vCore is 1.224. See the temps, fans running, system memory, I guess that is, utilization, yeah. And again, 1.228, 1.2. So it's running at, it looks like kind of a high temperature at the moment. Maybe it'll settle in. Maybe it's a poor pasting job. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe it's just yeah, getting dialed in here. 50. That's not. Yeah, this is kind of all over. Let's see. Processor utilization. So the cores 0 through 7, 8 cores. So of course, one main core. And clocks, see, here you go, 4.399, 4.401, so it is running at, you know, 4.4. Yeah, let's see what else we got. Kind of going through GTX 1060, 6 gigabytes, so it's all recognized in there. Temps, fans, power. Yeah, it's not the best memory, but it is good enough for me at this point. I can't remember what the maximum is with BIOS updates and everything, but I could probably get faster than 1333. Something over 2000, I'm sure, is possible. So yeah, that's where we are right now. So I'm happy with it. We'll see how it goes with our little cheap upgrade under 160 bucks for 2 components, and I'm expecting a good 10% improvement in, speeds and processing, and much more than that in video GPU. Quite a difference, if we went to let's see, GTX 760 versus 1060. Go to GPU user benchmark, and you can see quite a difference. Yeah, about 3-year difference in release date, and you can see 116% better speeds. This 1060 is not going to blow the doors off anything, but compared to 2 megabyte GTX 760, this 1060 with 6 gigs is a big difference. Yeah, hugely better lighting, reflection, multi-rendering, N-body calc, and then these games, 40% CSGO, Fortnite 60%, PUBG 78%. Yeah, you can read all of that. 51% LOL, Overwatch, Battlefield 1, Witcher, yeah, Minecraft even. WoW, World of Tanks, and then value sentiment. Yeah, better value, more popular, cheaper, more recent, texture, way better. So huge upgrades in video quality. So long story short is it worked, and should be giving me a little better, snappier performance. And really the goal of this was to have a cheap upgrade to buy me another year or two, providing everything else holds out. So yeah, I don't have a bunch of money burning a hole in my pocket, and I don't really need anything right now. If this is working great, so why throw money at a whole new system when I don't really know what I want, or my use case has changed even in the last 6 months. So on that note, thanks for watching, and if you got any questions, hopefully I'll be able to answer them. I'm not too up to date on latest hardware and things like that, but anything involved with this kind of simple upgrade to an older system, I might be able to help out with. Alright, on that note, Random Dave is out.